All right, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in once again to the Black Box Podcast, BBOR, Black Box Online Radio. Now, I had been doing a few uploads on the case of the Zodiac killer. However, I felt that I was covering that subject quite a lot, and sometimes I'm not so crazy when this channel becomes very one-note. And I did a few other things recently. We got back into O.J. Simpson. I did I did some on the case of Billy Joe Jenkins. Try to do some different cases so this channel doesn't become devoted to only one subject. However, I can't really shake the stuff that we have going on with the Zodiac killer. And not to mention, just like watching things on YouTube and reading through articles myself, just in my spare time. It's just, like many people, this is one case that we just can't get away from. And today's suspect we're going to talk about is someone that I haven't mentioned before, Earl Van Best. Now, this is one that I had dismissed previously. It's sort of like the case of Jack Torrance. When I first heard it, I was literally like, no fucking way. Ha. No, that was my response to Jack Torrance, and that's why I've never covered him on the channel, because I did not see an enormous amount of validity in the statement, just total instinct, but I really didn't investigate it that much. And, I shouldn't say only instinct, because there also are just some very, very off-putting details in the case of Jack Torrance, and it's the same with Earl Van Best. This one comes to us from an individual named Michael Wachsel, and he is an investigator, and I believe he also claims to be a forensic scientist as well, and he has composed a book on the case of Earl Van Best. Now, this is a follow-up book to the 2002 one, The Most Dangerous Animal of All, where somebody was reporting that he believed his biological father was the Zodiac killer, his biological father being Earl Van Best. Now, one of the biggest reasons put forth about why they think Earl Van Best is the Zodiac killer is he matches the Zodiac sketches very closely. And when I read through the comments section on YouTube, I see a lot of people saying, oh, come on, it's just the glasses. They're only talking about the glasses and the haircut. Actually, with the case of Earl Van Best, I think it's quite a bit different. To give credit where credit is due, I would say that they're paying very close attention to the nose, very close attention to the lips, the cheeks, the jawline. And one of the big things at first I thought was the Zodiac sketch has something that forms into somewhat of a widow's peak. I mean, like you can call it that. The Zodiac sketch has a widow's peak. When you look at the photo of Earl Van Best, at first I was like, he doesn't have that. But I looked a little more closely, and in the photos that I've seen of Earl Van Best, he has it almost looks like he has the very slight widow's peak that is covered with a little bit of his hair. I mean, I say he looks an awful lot like the sketch. He looks an enormous amount like the sketch. Does that make him the Zodiac killer, though? I mean, what about all the other people that match the sketch? What about Richard Gaikowski? What about Ross Sullivan? All these people match up just as well. And even in the case of Louis Myers, I mentioned very similar things. That Louis Myers has very similar lips, very similar jawline. I would say, though, I think there is a difference between Earl Van Best and the Zodiac sketch. One of them has sort of an anomaly, like something quite different around the center of the bottom lip. I noticed something there that I thought was not a match. But let's go into some of the things that are put forth by Michael Wachsel. I'm going to include a link in this description box to his website, zodiacsolved.com. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you can't stay away. Who can't resist these titles? Zodiacsolved.com. You can't stay away from this stuff, and I've been falling for this crap for the last 20 years. And seriously, I mean, only about the last 6 years have I been falling for the websites that are called, like, Zodiac Solved. There was, I think a documentary called Zodiac Killer Case Closed. Was Earl Van Best the Zodiac? Well, Michael Wachsel's argument is not only about the photo and the sketch. No. His argument is also pertaining to handwriting. And all I will say is, he has some samples of Earl Van Best's handwriting, and he shows the Zodiac Killer's handwriting. And I will tell you, they look nothing alike. I don't see it. I don't see anything at all. I don't even see the slightest resemblance. When you're looking at it, in a zoomed out thing, maybe. Like, before you actually click on the image and zoom in, I'm like, well, maybe that looked kind of similar. But when I would actually open the image and kind of just look in at the things in a close-up, I'm like, no, absolutely not. Nothing alike at all. When he makes the T, the little slash across the T, with the J, it's called a J hat on top, and I guess you call it a T hat. The cross line on the T is going in completely different directions. I'm going to include a link, zodiacsolve.com, and people can see for themselves. But I will say, absolutely not. Zilch. Zero. Nada. Niente. I don't think Earl Van Best was particularly the Zodiac Killer. I would say that it's one of the reasons that people are really drumming up some support for this particular suspect is there have been attempts by people to get Earl Van Best's DNA run against the Zodiac Killer's DNA, and they have been unsuccessful. The people who were promoting Earl Van Best were completely condemned on HLN, and they were sort of viewing this as a publicity stunt. They were doing some sort of, I don't even know the name of the program. It was just on YouTube. I saw like a 3-minute video, and this one forensic scientist is just on the phone with HLN, and he's like, these people went public that they were dropping a book the day before the book was released. They were promoting the book starting the day before it was released, usually so people would start to go out and buy it, as opposed before you could really cross-examine the information on television. They were not giving anybody a chance to put the fire out before the book sale started, if you can understand my meaning. Earl Van Best is a very large stretch with the Zodiac. And also the writer of the first book, which is called The Most Dangerous Animal of All, his name's Gary. Last name has just escaped me right now. The reason why he wasn't in contact with Earl Van Best for a long time was he stated that Earl Van Best, left the family as a kid, and they actually had a cruel abandonment. Do you think that there is somewhat of a connection there? Do you think that's sort of a motivation to go down the Zodiac Killer route, other than the fact that, well, the people who are promoting the theory of Earl Van Best are accused of profiteering. They are accused of trying to make money off of this. I was like, maybe it's a revenge thing, but as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, okay, maybe it's also done a little bit for profit. Now, I was almost about to sign off before I've even talked about the largest thing associated with Earl Van Best. Some people have claimed that if you scramble the letters and you crack the code of the Zodiac cipher, that it will tell you Earl Van Best. I looked into that stuff, and I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I did not understand a flippin' word about what they were talking about. They have these very detailed theories about how Earl Van Best's name appears in the Zodiac ciphers. I don't follow what you're saying. I wish I did. I wish I could give a more honest critique of that stuff. Other than that, I can say that it's over my head. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Because they're like, if you count every third letter in, the fat cat or something, that you actually get the word hat. I was like, this is Dr. Seuss stuff, I'm sorry, though. There's a very low probability that Earl Van Best was the Zodiac Killer. However, I don't know everything. I'm always open to correction. If I saw something conclusive like DNA or fingerprints were to match, I would eat my hat and I would be like, all right, Michael Waxel, you have my sincerest apology. But I will be waiting for that day. I would say that this is one that's really turned into something very complicated, and also, I have to say, once again, the handwriting looks absolutely off. It looks absolutely different to me. I don't see this as any chance of being the same person's handwriting. It's very similar with the case of Ross Sullivan when they're like really going for the handwriting angle. I would say, though, that the Ross Sullivan case, when you look at the handwriting samples side by side, Ross Sullivan and the Zodiac, that almost has a slightly higher chance in my book of being a match as opposed to this Earl Van Best theory. I mean, we got to go with our first instinct sometimes on these things. And once again, I didn't really cover Earl Van Best on this channel because I really just dismissed it. I was like, I don't see an enormous amount of hard, conclusive supporting evidence for this thing. I do think that it is very surprising about how similar a lot of his facial features are to the Zodiac sketch. I mean, we're not just, we said it already, the nose, the lips, the chin, the cheekbones, very similar, but that's not enough. And this theory about this is the true meaning of the ciphers, it's pretty far out. It's pretty far out, and it's kind of, well, it's just over my head. I can't say anything for or against it because I don't completely get it. Well, what do you think? Do you think there's any chance that Earl Van Best was the Zodiac Killer? Once again, I will post a link in the description box to Zodiac Solved, where you can read all about Wachtell's book, and maybe you can learn more about the case for his particular theory associated with the handwriting and the codes. If you have any comments to say at all, please drop one in the comment section below. That's all for me. Thank you for listening, and until next time.